Some people, when you tell them about your abuse, they don't acknowledge anything. And as a matter of fact, they don't even want to know.
Check it out, check it, check it out, check it, check it, check it out, check it.
Hey, Greg and the CE, call me hip hop junkie. Straight to your dome piece like grass monkey.
Welcome to Mel's Truthful Tuesday. I'm so glad that you could join me today. If some of you don't know who I am, my name's Melissa Milan, and I'm here on this platform just sharing my untold stories that some people don't want to talk about. I put this platform on just to help to empower some women, to empower men, that there is life after abuse, there is life after trauma, there is life after the things that you go through. And so I put this platform on. As you know, I've done some interviews with people in the past, and currently I am just sharing my own story. It all started, if some of you don't know and you're just finding out today and you've just come across my channel, some of you, I went through sexual abuse as a child, and it took me 45 years to come out and share my story. So each week I will be coming on just sharing parts of the story, because I've written a book called Mask, and out of that book I've started to just do some shows just to speak to people about untold stories that we don't want to share. As some of you may have known in previous conversations we've had, is that it took me 45 years to tell my parents, to tell my husband at the time, my children, my friends, my family. It took me 45 years. And so I'm here on this platform just sharing stories and interviewing people about their untold stories. Now, some of you may have watched the last episode where we had our lovely Leslie Edwards that took us down a journey, that took us down a road of her past trauma about domestic violence. It was such of an empowering and such a moving interview. Now, I put this platform on not to just tell people's business and just talk about what we've gone through, and it's really about to empower those women and men that have gone through stuff that hasn't shared, hasn't spoken about it, would not like to talk about it for whatever reason. But I understand the I can't do this. So I've put this platform on to help people to come out of their shell, to come out of their comfort zones. I am going to be doing some other stuff that people can come into a safe space, that we can have a talk about these different situations that we've gone through in our past, to help people to know that there is hope, to help people that there is life after trauma, life after divorce, life after abuse, life after accidents, life after even illnesses. There is life. So we are going to be bringing on other people that's going to talk about life after addiction. We're going to have people that's going to come on and give us some insight into what they've gone through, and also to kind of just share so that people understand that you can talk about your abuse, you can talk about it. But as you can see, the title today is I Still Felt Ashamed of My Abuse. And it's so difficult when you've gone through abuse and having to live your life with a mask on your face for years. The shame after abuse. It's not easy. It's not easy having to deal with that shame. And going through the feelings of the abuse and no one knowing what you're feeling like, because you haven't told anyone. So you're going through the journey in your mind that I've got this thing that I'm going through, but you're trying to live a normal life. And at the same time, you're doing things that looks to other people quite erratic. It looks to other people like, why are you doing that? Why are you acting like that? Why are you, having different partners, and why your life ain't settled, and why haven't you got certain things, and why are you that way? And no one knows that you're actually struggling inside with your abuse, and inside you're feeling the shame because they're looking at you thinking, what's wrong with this girl? Like, 1 minute she's this, 1 minute she's that, then she's doing this. And you can't tell them that the reasoning why I'm doing this was because, someone took my innocence away. You can't tell them my dignity's gone. You can't tell them that I feel worthless. You can't tell them that, I'm trying, but I'm dying inside. You have to continue with your life because you're hidden, because you're behind that mask, and you're not telling anyone that I feel like dying. You're not telling anyone that I don't want to live. You're not telling anyone that this has hurt me so much that I don't know what to do. All you're doing is living your life, but people can see your mistakes. But they don't understand why the underlying issue is making you have those mistakes. Because 1, the abuse is inside. 2, you haven't told anyone. 3, if you told anyone, you're going to live with that shame. You're going to live with that shame. You know how hard it is sometimes. I'm going to be real with you because it smells Truthful Tuesday. One of the hardest things is that when you go into relationships, and if you're going to tell your partner, as a matter of fact, I've been sexually abused as a child, you don't know if that partner is going to even want to love you again. You don't know if that partner is going to want to sleep with you again. You don't know if that partner is going to feel like, I can't do this because of A, B, and C. You don't know their own emotions. You don't even know if they've been abused. You don't even know if that's going to trigger even them. And so it's so difficult that when you're going to tell someone, I just want to let you know that, by the way, I love you and I want to marry you, I want to be with you, but I'm actually gone through abuse. Some men, some women are not going to be able to cope with marrying you or dating you because either they've got their own feelings, their own emotions, or it puts them off. Come on, we're going to be honest, we're going to be real. And so having to go into a relationship and tell someone, by the way, just to let you know, I have been sexually abused. That man, that woman may just say no. Too much drama, too much trauma, too much problems. Because in their heads, if you're not delivered, if you're not healed, they think they're coming into something that's going to make their life worse. So they tend to say, no, I don't want to do this. How difficult is that? To share with someone that you love and that you want to be with, turn around and say, I can't do this. I can't be with you because it's going to be difficult. Or are you going to have drama later on? Are you going to start being depressed? Are you going to be breaking down? Are you going to be doing this? I want a happy life. I want a good life. I want a wife that's going to be there for me. I want a husband that's going to be there for me. And most of the times, men and women do not tell their partners and their family and their friends for this one reason, that they feel like they're going to be judged. They're going to have stigma come behind them. They're going to be in a place of no. People are not going to respect them. A lot of the times, you're not respected and you think, hold on, wait a little bit. What happened to me wasn't my fault. I didn't ask to be abused. I didn't ask to be in this situation. But yet still, you're the one who has to deal with the backlash. You're the one who has to deal with that shame. It's so difficult to explain to someone, this is what happened to me and this is why I'm like this. Because in their head, some people think, well, I'm not saying everybody, but I feel like some people just think, come on, it's past now. Like, you was a child, you're grown up now, you're doing life. It's a struggle in the mind. It's a struggle. Because society has made us feel that you have to be a certain way. You have to look a certain way. You have to talk a certain way. You have to present a certain way. And if you're not doing these things, people will judge you and they're not going to touch you with a barge pole. And let's be honest. I've heard singers say, if you're overweight, they're not going to take you on because you're not looking the part for the backing singers. If you want to be a hair hostess, you've got to be slim because you can't be overweight. because it's all about what people see. So imagine someone who's gone through abuse, gone through trauma. How do you think they can display themselves to say, I want to be like this, but because of that, you might judge me? There's so many people judging people for who they are, for where they're going, for what they've done. Come on, I know people are looking at me sometimes thinking, how you displaying and telling people your trauma or talking about your past relationships and dealing with that. But I can guarantee you there's one person out there that is happy and is contented that, you know what, thank you so much for sharing your story, because now you've made me go and want to do something for myself. Maybe it's someone out there that wants to even do a show who said, you know what, I really wanted to share my story, but I didn't have the confidence. But after hearing you, I feel like I want to do this. So I'm telling you, ladies, gentlemen, it's not easy out here having to deal with the shame of what you've gone through. Because a lot of people, come on, we're going to be honest, they won't even look at you sometimes. There's men that won't even think about having a relationship with you. There's women that will just walk out and say, nah, and especially if it's a man who's gone through sexual abuse from another man, another woman, and when a woman comes along and he's struggling with what it looks like, it's difficult for them now to say, I went through this, but I'm not gay. Or I went through this and I'm not that person. It's difficult because the woman's got this vision in her head that, do you really want me? You know? And come on, we're going to be real again, because this is Mel's Truthful Tuesday. When you go into a relationship with someone and then you begin, and the reason why it's shameful to tell them, because sometimes you go in that relationship and they start throwing it in your face when you have arguments. Oh, you did that. It's because when you went through your abuse, innit? And and you done this, and that's why you behave like that. Start throwing in shades of things that you don't even want to talk about. Because in your head, I just wanted to be loved. I just wanted someone to hold me. I just wanted someone to be there. Now I've got someone here throwing in words that is actually going to affect me more based on my abuse. And that's why it's difficult going into relationships with people, because you think, you know, telling them this, how are they going to respond? How are they going to be with me? Are they going to look beyond my pain? Are they going to look beyond my abuse? Are they going to look beyond and they're going to just hold me and hug me and say, I love you, regardless of what you went through, regardless of what it looks like? And sometimes, ladies, sometimes men and women don't find it easy to go beyond and say, I'm going to love this woman in spite of. Come on, we've got to be real. So the shame that we carry is not easy on us men. It's not easy on us. And I can't speak for a man, but I know for a man it must be just as bad. Especially if they've been abused by the opposite sex. It's not easy for them to carry that and to go into a relationship hoping that the woman or the man is going to love them for who they are. The shame. The shame is so difficult. But the shame also, when you see the evidence of the mess, you know that there must be something going on with this woman. There must be something going on with this man. Because you begin to see, hold on, why has she got 3 kids at her age? Hold on, why did she drop out of school? Hold on, why is she not prospering? Hold on, is there something going on? Why is she always arguing? Why is she always drinking? Why is she on drugs? You've got to think about these things when people are dealing with some issues. Look at why is this happening? Why are they behaving? Why are they presenting in a certain way? Sometimes we just write them off and call them dirty, nasty. Look at her. She's just this and she's just that. Think about, is it that she may be dealing with some underlying issues, some underlying childhood traumas that she can't even express into words, but all she can do is express into bad behaviors, bad habits, bad addictions. But yet still us are sitting there judging that woman, judging that man, not knowing that really and truly inside, deep down, that's weighing her in is the shame that she's dealing with. The shame of being able to expose what it really is. And look, and not understanding whether the backlash of what you're going to tell your family or tell your friends and if they're going to love you still, are they going to walk away? Are they going to disown you? Are they going to judge you? Are they going to invite you to the birthday parties? Are they going to invite you to the friendship groups? Are they going to still involve you in stuff? Or are they going to disrespect you, disown you, not be nice to you, not invite you, don't want to hear you? Some people, when you tell them about your abuse, they don't acknowledge anything. And as a matter of fact, they don't even want to know. Some people will write it off and say, that couldn't have happened to you. That's a lie. Come on, there's some stories that have been told that the parents didn't believe, that the mother didn't believe, the father didn't believe, the children didn't believe. I've heard stories. So think about how difficult that is when you're carrying the shame within you and now having to tell people, this is what happened to me, and not knowing what the response is going to be. The response, there's people that's gone through some real traumatic situations. Some people have gone through some situations that they put themselves in and didn't even really want to be there. They were in the wrong place at the wrong time. There's some people that have gone to prison and think, gosh, why did I go there? Like, why did that happen to me? People that were addicted to drugs and alcohol, and they're ashamed to tell people, this is what I used to be. Ashamed to tell people that I used to be in prison, but now I'm free, and now I'm living a good life. Ashamed to tell people I used to be a prostitute. Ashamed to tell people that I used to be on drugs. Ashamed to tell people that you've gone through some situations that I've got multiple baby mothers, multiple baby fathers, just because of the shame that it carries and what people are going to say about you and how they're gonna look at you. Ashamed that, oh, hold on, wait a bit, I dropped out of school and I've got no qualifications. Ashamed. These things that we go through sometimes it's not our fault. But some people say, well, you could have made the change. If you really wanted to, you could have done this. And if you really want to, do you know why we were going through this? Some people say, oh, if she wanted to come off drugs, she could just come off of it. But do they know that maybe that person that was on the drugs was actually abused? Maybe that person that was on the drugs was the abuser. Because we can flip the script. There's some abusers, but they're making it out like it's, oh, I'm dealing with something else, and it's really them. They're guilty and they feel shamed. Like, why did I do that? They may not be at the place now, but they may have dealt with those issues, or dealt with being the perpetrator and drinking and going down in that place, but then can't tell anyone because they're holding it back and saying, I am the abuser. So we've just flipped the script. There might be somebody out there, that's dealt with, I've done something wrong and I can't share it. Or I've shared it and I've got the backlash of what my friends and my family and my children and my partner and all the rest of it comes with. And some abusers have been abused. And that's what that's what we've heard, that some of the abusers have actually been abused. So they're carrying double for their trouble. And it's not easy carrying shame. It's not easy carrying the shame. I told you in my last show that I was going to carry this to my grave because I thought it was easier that shame to tell people, to go in front of your parents that are in their 70s and telling your parents, hold on, I've the family friends abused me. Having to sit before your husband who's just newly wed. I actually was abused. Didn't tell him before the wedding. Told him in the middle of our marriage. Having to go to tell my 3 older children that have their own family, that they have their own children. Having to know that my grandchildren one day will grow up and read my story, that wow, Nan, that's what you went through. It's not easy carrying the shame. It's not easy having to tell people that this is what I've gone through. It's not easy. And it will never be easy. And I'm not going to give you a solution to this. That, okay, you know, one day you're going to be all right. It's still shameful. It's still shameful to an extent. Like, I'm free and I'm healed and I'm delivered. That's why I can stand before you and tell you my story. But think about the people that I am going to meet later on. What about the people, what about the husband that God will give me that has to say, well, my wife does a show and she talks about her trauma. How do I know he's not going to be ashamed? How do I know he's not going to feel away? And that's why when we talked about when I used to do Partners for Purpose, it has to be someone that can understand your purpose, that can understand that you've gone through that but you're not there anymore, that can understand that it doesn't come with that shame. It has to be someone who's able to carry you through the shame, be able to say, I love you regardless of what you've gone through. It has to be the right man, the right woman for you, to be able to stand behind you, be able to hold you, be able to say, do you know what? It doesn't matter what you've gone through. I love you regardless of your mess, regardless of what you've gone through. It takes that special person. You can't, I know today that I can't just be with anyone. I know today I can't just be with any man, because not any man's going to be able to carry me. Because I don't come with just simple life. My life is not simple. It's complicated. It used to be. Let's say it used to be complicated. But some people will dictate to you that she's gone through that. Do you really want to be with her? You know, lying to the man, lying to the woman, to make them feel like this woman or man's not got a life and they're not going to live life, and they're going to be sad and they're going to be depressed and they're going to be toxic. It's a lie. Don't listen to people. I'm someone who's never been toxic. I've never talked about my abuse or nothing in my relationships. I've never used that against no one. Because I know I'm healed. I know that I'm healed, and I know that not only that I'm healed, but I'm forgiven. The key to all of this is forgiveness. Because when you can forgive your perpetrator of what they have done, you no longer live in that abusive mindset. Because when you feel that way, you're going to start abusing. You're going to start taking it out on people that don't deserve to be hurt. So you have to get to a place of healing. You have to get to that place of feeling free. But it's not easy carrying the shame. It's not easy. But I want to encourage you that it might not be easy to carry shame. But one day it'll be easy to talk about it. And when you talk about it, the shame of it begins to leave. Because you've exposed it to the world. You've told everyone. You see, the enemy likes to keep you in your no. Don't say it. Don't tell them. They're going to do this to you. They're not going to talk to you anymore. You're not going to have any friends. You know, your family are not going to love you. You're not going to find a partner. You're not, and it's a lie from the pits of hell. A lie. Just a complete lie. So I want you to know that even though you're carrying your shame, even though you're carrying that pain and that shame is going to turn into your power. And And I want to encourage you that in spite of what you've gone through, in spite of what it looks like, in spite of how it feels, God is your Redeemer. God is your hope. And I want you to understand that. Although it hurts, although it doesn't feel like it can live, take my life as a template. I dropped out of school. I had 3 kids by the time I was 23. I had no qualifications. I had no hope. I was hidden. I had low self-esteem. I had lack of confidence. I didn't know who I was. I didn't know where I was going. None of it. But God just 360-degree turned my life around. Went back to school. I did my bachelor's degree. I did my master's. I wrote 2 books. I'm on my 3rd one. You know, I started my talk show. You know, I started my own business. Come on. Use me as your template. That in spite of the shame, in spite of the pain, in spite of what you're going through, God can do it for you too. So that was Mel's Truthful Tuesday. Empowered, untold stories. Please like, please share, please send it out to a woman, send it out to a man that wants to hear, you know, that there is life after the shame and that you can make it. And you don't have to throw that towel in. The devil is a liar. You don't have to throw that towel in. There is life for you, but you just have to find yourself. Find who you are. Find what carries you. Find what makes you. I hope this show gave you some insight into carrying shame. And I hope to see you next week. God bless you. Take care. Share, like, subscribe. See you next week.
Check it out, check it out, check it out, check it out.